Hello everyone, and welcome back for another Pixel Maven project tutorial. Today I'm going to be featuring these new scrapbook.com domed blending foams, and I am really loving the way that they are working out for me. So you may be wondering why the dome shape is better than a flat shape. And for some of you it might be apparent, but let me show you real quick what happens. So on a traditional flat foam, like this one here, it's very easy to get swirl marks and harsh lines, and sometimes it's difficult to blend. You have to start with less ink and a lighter hand and then work your way up into the blend. But using the rounded domed foams, it's very easy to get an even blend with no harsh lines because there's no hard edge on the foam. And I can load these up with a ton of ink and get a really, really great blend. So I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can use these rounded foams, and we are going to make this really great card. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is work on this blended panel in the back, because that's really going to show off how well these these domed foams work. And I'm using the Fall Group Hybrid Inks from scrapbook.com. It comes as a set with leather, autumn leaves, and orange cream. So it's kind of mixing two of their hybrid sets together to get you a really nice fall sampler. And I'm going to start with orange cream, which is the lightest of the three colors. And you can see I'm really loading this up with a ton of ink. And this is just some Nina Solar White. And you can see how evenly that blends already. So I'll just lighten up to the top here and bring that color down. And maybe even add a little more, because I know I'm going to go right into that autumn leaves, and I want to make sure that I've got plenty of room to blend in. And you can see I have 0 harsh lines, and it's very easy to blend these colors into the paper. So that's pretty good for the orange cream here. So I'm going to move into the autumn leaves, which is a nice dark color. So these are the center two of, or actually the opposite two of the foursome. So this is orange 2 and this one is orange 4. So there's also a 1 and a 3 that comes in the orange set, but these two come in the fall set. So now I'm just going to go ahead and add in my next color here and blend that back into the orange cream. You can see, I mean, how easy is this? If you have struggled with blending before, this is definitely a game changer for you. I, in particular, have a pretty heavy hand when it comes to blending, so I really am enjoying the fact that I can put a lot of ink onto these foams and not have to worry about harsh lines. So the last color here is leather. And this is in the part of the wood collection initially, and it's the number 3 color, so it's fairly dark. And then I'm just going to blend it right back into that autumn leaves. And isn't that amazing? I mean, it just looks spectacular. So easy. And now I have this trio beautifully blended. And then I'm going to be able to just go ahead and cut down this center panel here, so that way I've got just this little piece that I want for my card. But before I do that, I am going to do some embossing on here, and it's just going to be a tone on tone using the Fresh Florals and Berries stamp set. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some anti-static on here, especially because this is still a little bit wet. And I'm going to use the new scrapbook.com embossing ink. And this is just like many other embossing inks. It is archival and all that good stuff. And I'm just going to add a few of these big flowers on here to make a little bit of background interest. All right. So just some clear embossing powder. And that's going to help that to pop off the page a little bit. And then I will be able to trim this down to the panel that I need when I'm done. All right, so I have this all heat embossed, and you can see that now I have this really cool tone-on-tone look, and I've got this cut down to 2 inches, so this piece is ready to go. And we will move on to the next part, which is using a stencil with our foam blenders. And this is a piece of craft by Lawn Fawn, and I'm going to be using the scrapbook.com Little Boxes stencil. And I know that I'm going to be doing like this circle pattern to finish, so I don't need to get ink everywhere, but I do need to get it on here enough that that I can cut out a circle and have a really nice looking pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead and start again with the lightest color, the orange cream, and I'm just kind of going in a circle here. And the really fun thing about this particular stencil is that you can shift it around to get an even more intricate pattern. So this is just the first layer, and you'll be able to see that I've got just these simple boxes. So I'm just going to shift the stencil around, and I'm just going to start here and then go down a little bit so that I'm covering up all of those existing boxes, like so. And then I'm going to go into the autumn leaves. And the nice thing about going from lightest to darkest is that I don't have to worry about cleaning my stencil. So now I'm going to go ahead and just add in some of the autumn leaves. And then I can go in and see what that looks like. It's pretty good so far. So now I need to shift to the left or to the right and line it up with some of my original squares, like so. And now I'm going to go into the leather color. And I really noticed using the rounded dome blenders that I don't get caught up on the edges of the stencil. And so it's not chewing up the foam. It glides over really nice, and I don't have to worry about tearing them up and having to replace them with new foams sooner. All right, so those 3 are done. And now I'm going to use a 4th one and do some heat embossing. So I just need to clean this off a little bit. All right, so that's clean. And I'm going to go ahead and get some anti-static powder on here. And then I'm going to line this up in the last space that I have. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same process, but with some embossing ink. So go ahead and get that generously inked and fill these guys in. Because this ink is a little more sticky, I like to do a little bit of rolling and just pressing it in so that I fill in the whole square, and then I can come back around and get that whole circle filled in. All right, so now that I have that on there, I can go ahead and use some copper embossing powder to cover those up. And then I can go ahead and emboss that, and we're going to end up with a really, really cool looking background panel here. All right, so now that I have this piece cut out, I do need to add in the sentiment, and this is actually also embossed on here. So don't be afraid to do embossing over embossing. So I just cut this out with a one of the larger infinity circle dies, and Now that I've got it cut out, I can still put it into my stamp positioner without any problem. So I'll just put it in here, kind of the way that I think I want it to end up facing, probably like so. And then I can align my sentiment, and then go ahead and hit that with some more anti-static because I've already blown that all off. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my same embossing ink. And that's going to go right over everything, including the embossing that's already there. And then I can go ahead and coat this in some black and heat it up. All right, so this medallion is complete. And before I set it aside, I'm going to make a little outline of it on this piece of vanilla malt, so that way I know exactly where I want to do some more ink blending on the background panel. So I have just a little circle here, and I want to get this blend in place. So I'm going to use the orange cream again. And now you're going to see how these blending foams really work well to make a soft blend. So I'm starting with a darker color in the middle, and then I'm going to work my way out and around that pencil line that I made for myself. I'm not worried about the pencil line at all because it will get covered by that medallion in the end. I also know that I don't have to go around all the way because this side is going to get covered up by that strip. So I just need a nice soft blend. Isn't that amazing how beautiful that works? So I have this beautiful soft blend in place, and then I can go ahead for assembly. All right, so now that I have all of the pieces completed, it should be pretty simple to go ahead and put this card together. So I just have a standard size A2 card base, and I'll be using some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to adhere everything. So it all just kind of goes in order, and it really isn't a big deal. You've done all of the work with all this fantastic ink blending in all sorts of different ways. So we've got our beautiful base layer. Then we can go ahead and add in our blended panel. And that just lines up perfectly on there. And then to break things up a little bit, I just grabbed a piece of burlap. I just had it in my craft stash. And I just put some of this adhesive down and lay it right down on top of it. Most of it's going to get covered, so I'm not really concerned about any of that poking out when I'm done, because it will be covered by that circle. And then on this, I went ahead and put a piece of black fun foam on the backside to pop it up instead of using any kind of double-sided foam adhesive. This way it gives the element a lot of rigidity, and it'll be able to withstand any kind of smushing in the mail. So now I just need to find my little circle here and make sure that I'm putting my embellishment right over it, like so. And then the last thing that I did was I did stamp out and fussy cut one of the other floral elements from the Fresh Florals stamp set. And I'm going to just go ahead and stick this guy on the side, and this card will be finished. Well, that is a wrap for this project. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the domed foam blenders from scrapbook.com and that you've got a few new techniques to throw in your crafter's toolbox. I will be back later this week with more project tutorials, but until next time, happy crafting!